Akins, another Clemson defensive end or defensive lineman, played D tackle. Now this guy is an athlete. If anybody remembers from the national championship game, he basically did like a cheerleader pose where he lifted his leg up like almost to his head and then dropped down to the splits.
Oh, was that he was the one that kicked out his leg and he split and he started like dancing like while doing this, like he was doing the split and he was dancing like in the confetti and all that. Was that him?
Yeah, that was him. It's as a bigger man myself, it's one of the most impressive things to see is a guy lift his head high, or lift his foot head high, and then drop into the splits and just start dancing. That's an impressive,
I'm a big guy too.
Task.
The guy's like huge. What? He's at least 6'4", at least 280, and he's able to do that. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Golf. I'll give you a clap. I will give you a clap for that, sir. Touche. Because as a big guy, oh man, I would never do that.
Next up, the Atlanta Falcons take Chris Lindstrom, guard out of Boston College. Nothing too exciting. Obviously, it's a pick that needed to happen. Atlanta will looking to protect Matt Ryan a little more, and taking a Boston College kid to protect a Boston College kid. Who else can you trust? The number 15 pick is where it got a little more interesting. The Washington Redskins, they've had quarterback troubles for a long time. Basically with the RG3 experiment. Then they had Kirk Cousins for a while, and that was solid. Really solid. Unfortunately, they couldn't hold on to him. Then this last year, they had a whole cavalry of guys playing back there. Ended up with, I think it was Josh Johnson. I think it was Josh Johnson from USD. He got drafted by Tampa Bay, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
6 or 7 years ago. He ended up being their quarterback. I think he was the fourth quarterback they had that year. They lost Alex Smith to injury. They lost Colt McCoy to injury. They lost one other. Was it Mark Sanchez? I think it was Mark Sanchez, and he just sucked.
It was Mark Sanchez. And
he was just terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. They got to wrap all the freaking quarterbacks in bubble wrap because their offensive line is garbage. Yep. Sorry.
And then they had Josh Johnson come in and basically finish out the season as just a placeholder, knowing that he's not really playing for a roster spot. He's basically playing in the movie The Replacements. But they're hoping that they got their guy. Whether or not he sits behind Alex Smith for a few years, can soak up some knowledge behind him. We'll see. But Dwayne Haskins, number 15 pick, I say solid pick. I talked to a Redskins fan today who was saying that he was hoping that the Redskins would trade for Josh Rosen, and kind of go after a different position group in this pick. I see that, but I don't really see them being able to trade for Josh Rosen unless they gave up this pick. So, interesting pick. I like it. I think Dwayne Haskins is a very impressive quarterback. He broke all the records at Ohio State, so someone they have to look forward to.
Oh, absolutely. Shall we go on?
Let's do it. Carolina Panthers, Brian Burns, linebacker out of Florida State. Nothing too exciting. Then the New York Giants come in again with another pick at Dexter Lawrence, the third defensive lineman from Clemson. In 17 picks, 3 defensive linemen from the University of Clemson. That's just unreal. That shows you why they've, been in the NCAA playoff, 4 of the last 4 years, I believe.
Yeah, time and time again. For some reason, Clemson seems to find really good players and just working hard. This guy is an absolute unit, though. This guy apparently weighs 342 pounds at 6'4". Now, I don't know about you, but if I was a quarterback and I saw something coming up at full speed, I'd probably piss my pants.
Oh yeah, this is a big guy. He's gonna wreak havoc, and even for that size, he's an athletic guy. So it's gonna be interesting to see him translate into the NFL. Going up against guys like our next pick, Minnesota Vikings, Garrett Bradbury. Always kind of a shock to see a center taken round 1. But Minnesota obviously knew what they needed. They saw what they liked, and they went after it and got Garrett Bradbury from NC State.
Yeah. I hope he stands up for the challenge. You know, he's going to have a lot of weight on his shoulders, especially protecting their quarterback, Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
That's what they have there. Yeah. So, I mean, he's a big guy. He's fast. He can move around. So, I without a doubt, it's not a bad pick. So, I totally agree with this. I think they did really good with their pick in the first round.
Absolutely. You know, the Tennessee Titans followed up with Jeffrey Simmons, a monster of a human being from Mississippi State. I looked at this guy, and I think he was like 6'6", 280. He just looks huge. He's a powerful force on the defensive line. Kind of a sad story for him. In 2016, he pled like no contest, I think it was, in a assault. I guess a video came out of him beating a woman on the ground, and I guess what had happened was his mom and his sister were fighting, and he said that he was breaking it up. But apparently in the video it looked pretty bad, so obviously it did not look good on him. This year he did not even get an invite into the NFL draft, and he still managed to go number 19 overall to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stats right now, and just like, you know, each player they'll show a combine result. He has none. Like, he doesn't show anything. His 40-yard dash, his bench press, so on and so forth. Like, none of it's there, and he's still able to go in the first round. It's unreal.
You know, that shows what these NFL scouts really do. Obviously, it's not just about the combine numbers. You know, these pro days at teams all around the country are really important. And these scouts, you know, they're able to look at guys, and even if they're not in the combine, you know, they recognize and recognize game. The Tennessee Titans, Jeffrey Simmons.
All right, so with the 20th, we got the Denver Broncos.
Yep, the Broncos, you know, take that second tight end from Iowa, Mr. Noah Fant, 18 touchdowns in the last 2 years. So he's going to be probably catching a few more if Denver can figure it out with a quarterback.
Yeah, let's hope they get a good quarterback, because, you know, they've been really missing you know, Manning ever since he left, and, you know, they need somebody to step up. So hopefully they'll figure out their quarterback situation, and they'll definitely have the parts to have a good offensive team, especially with this guy.
Oh yeah. Green Bay Packers taking a safety to replace Clinton Dix. I believe he got traded this year. I think. Now that I say that, I'm not sure. But I believe he got traded.
I know he did, because after everything, like after all the shit hit the fan with the Green Bay Packers, just everybody started to jump ship or retire, and I know he definitely got traded somewhere. I don't know where, but I know he's somewhere else. He's definitely not in Green Bay.
Gotcha. Well, you know, Green Bay looking to replace that production with Darnell Savage Jr. out of Maryland. Another just obvious kind of position need pick. Next 3 or 4 picks, you know, nothing big surprise. Philadelphia Eagles going after a need at offensive tackle, drafting Andre Dillard out of Washington State. The Houston Texans taking Titus Howard, offensive tackle out of Alabama State. Another small school here, which is kind of a surprise. But go him. Next up, we had the Oakland Raiders with their second pick in the first round, taking Josh Jacobs, running back from Alabama. Solid pick. You know, you see these running backs from Alabama always end up having pretty decent production. I know there's been a few over the years that haven't necessarily lived up to the hype, but you know, hopefully they'll be able to find something they can do with Josh Jacobs. You know, next up, Baltimore Ravens. Probably going to end up being one of the teams that I support the most. For those of you that don't know, from San Diego, was born and raised a San Diego Chargers fan.
Played for Oklahoma.
He did play for Oklahoma.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure you put that info down.
Oh yeah, I was getting there. Don't worry. But San Diego Chargers decided to jump ship, move to LA. I'm not a fan of LA, as many people from San Diego are not. That, was like a kick in the chest, hearing that. So I choose not to support the Chargers as a whole. I like watching Phillip Rivers. I like watching Antonio Gates. I like watching a lot of these guys I watched over the years. As far as them as a team, I'm not necessarily going to support them all that much. Always been looking for a new team. I decided last year, to decide to basically follow guys that I liked watching in college. Being an Oklahoma fan, obviously Baker Mayfield was a huge one for us. This last year I watched probably 12 of the 16 Cleveland games. So that was a lot of fun to watch that progression. Baltimore Ravens, on the other hand, I think this is their 5th Oklahoma player now on the team. Obviously that's a sign. Baltimore's a long ways away, but I don't mind giving some support to them. But the pick, Marquise Brown, Mr. Hollywood Brown.
That's his nickname, Hollywood Brown.
His nickname is Hollywood. He is cousins to Pittsburgh's favorite player, Mr. Antonio Brown.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
Didn't I don't know if this is right, but didn't the Baltimore Ravens just trade Flacco in this draft for a pick?
Did they?
I want to say they did. Maybe I'm full of shit, but I swear I thought I saw something to where the Baltimore Ravens were tired of J.J. Flacco, and I thought they were going to get somebody else. I
Joe
could
Flacco?
be wrong now. Don't quote me on this, guys. Anyway, maybe we even should.
Oh, what? Oh, wait. No, you're right. Sorry.
Am I?
Yeah, they traded him to the Broncos. I think it was about a week ago. I totally forgot about that.
Okay.
Totally forgot about that. Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens moving on from Joe Flacco. They are going with the young gun, Mr. Lamar Jackson, from now on. So hopefully him coupled with Marquise Brown, getting some good production out of other Oklahoma players like tight end Mark Andrews, defensive tackle or offensive tackle, which I don't know right now. His name is slipping my mind. From Oklahoma, also drafted last year, and then some various others. Hopefully that'll turn him into a powerhouse, just like they were at Oklahoma. So fingers crossed, knocking on wood for that one.
There's definitely a chance for that. So who do we got next?
Kind of finishing out the draft. Not a lot of excitement. Some good players obviously being picked, but nothing that really stood out. 26 Washington Redskins getting a great deal with Montez Sweat. Oakland Raiders taking Jonathan Abram, safety out of Mississippi State. Los Angeles Chargers, hurts me to say that. Jerry Tillery,
it's okay.
defensive tackle from Notre Dame. That guy's just a monster. I looked at him earlier and he's like 6'6", I think 306. Guy's a massive force. So hopefully that'll be something the Chargers will have since they lost Jamal Williams back, mid-2000s. Seattle Seahawks coming in with L.J. Collier, defensive end out of TCU. There we go.
Texas Christian.
Then the Giants coming in with DeAndre Baker, cornerback out of Georgia. Atlanta Falcons, Caleb McGarry, offensive tackle from Washington. And New England Patriots picking somebody that's going to turn into a Hall of Famer. You watch. Just because he's going to spend his first couple years. Who knows? Tom Brady might outplay him. But picking N'Keal Harry. I don't know why they got
his
this
name again. How do you say it again? It's N''Keal. N'Keal?
I always thought it was Keneal.
Oh, you're probably right. I honestly.
N'Keal? I don't know.
That's you.
I'm developing late 20s dyslexia, but I always thought it was Keneal, not N'Keal. So, who knows? The wide receiver from Arizona State, Everybody like this.